My name is Travis Aultman. I am with SES Integration with my good friend.
Hey, Trey Blair, also with SES Integration.
That's right. And where are we at right now, Trey?
We are at the Well Church in Salt Lake City, Utah.
If you've not been to Salt Lake City, you need to come here. It is freaking beautiful
It's
out.
amazing.
I mean, just gorgeous. It's fall time as well, so all the fall colors with the beautiful snow-capped mountains. I mean, gorgeous. We're not here to talk about Salt Lake City, though. We're here to talk about the Well Church. So this church is a project that we just completed in August of this year, August of 2025. So right now we are standing in one of the lobbies, which happens to be an overflow space, because you're gonna get this a lot. This church is bursting at the seams. So we started working with this church, what year was it?
Been several years ago.
Yeah, I wanna say like 2022.
Sounds right.
Yeah, so in 2022 is the first time that we connected with the team here at the Well, and they were having a problem, a good problem, which is they were growing like crazy. And so as they are growing like crazy, we're problem solving, working through a PA deployment, working out and developing another room for them to do 2 services at the exact same time. And that's what started the relationship. And now we are standing in the lobby of the new construction that we completed with them, because again, they were growing. And newsflash, they're still growing.
Right.
They built a new building and they're blowing up. But we're gonna talk, Trey and I today, we're gonna talk about all the technical systems here. We're gonna talk about the system design, why it came, you know, what were the decisions, what were the deciding factors behind it, because the goal is, if you're watching this, you'd be able to learn something for a project that you're working on. Maybe get some tips on some gear, some tips on some construction projects, some of the coordination stuff that has to go on. We all love to nerd out about gear, but everyone knows,
Right.
integration world is more actually construction than it is.
It really is, and it's more about thought process and things you have to consider. We want to make sure that we're always forward thinking and planning for the future, not just what we need today.
Yeah. Here is a great case for that. Here is a great case for that, because again, growth can change a lot of things. So one of the things that we knew going into this is that, you know, as they were already experiencing a lot of growth, they were anticipating being full in their auditorium on day one,
Right.
which they absolutely were. So overflow was something that was going to be considered from the get-go. It had to be included in everything that we're discussing. So we're inside of, I don't know, what is this, the east or the west part of the lobby?
Don't know. This is the house left lobby
Yes,
for us
we're
technical people.
House left lobby. And behind us, you can see there's an LED wall. So in any time that goes on during a weekend, so they started with 2 services and they filled that out. They filled out this venue. They have another LED wall on the other side for overflow. They have their old venues with LEDs for overflow, and they overfilled all of it. In the space though, on the weekends, they put chairs out here and then people can watch the message. The auditorium's right over there, but it's a really great time for us to actually talk about some of the functionality that goes on. So pause first before we get into some of the QSIS stuff. This was owner furnished LED. So what the church decided was all of the LED for the new broadcast, you know, hub, this is what this campus serves as. So all the LED for inside of the auditorium, they wanted to upgrade that and then take their existing LED and then repurpose it for these things. So if I'm honest, I don't even remember what exact tile this is. It was,
I believe it's a 3.9 millimeter tile.
it's 3.9, but I don't even know who
what
the
manufacturer
manufacturer is. I don't think the manufacturer even exists anymore. So it was really fun finding all the documentation for that. So anyways, finding all of the stuff for this LED wall, it's doing the job admirably. Like, people can see the service and it looks fine.
Yeah, and we had to have LED for the space because there's tons of natural light coming in here.
Yes.
Projection really wasn't an option, and given its overflow functionality, TVs just weren't going to be sufficient. So LED was the answer, and you know, like anything else, budget matters. So we had LED product that already existed at the church. We took it in and tied it into the new control system and made it work for this purpose and saved a ton of money.
So speaking of control system, let's talk about QSIS.
Yeah, so like most of our projects, everything is managed and controlled by QSIS. All the auxiliary spaces, audio is routed and managed by QSIS. So just a touch panel on the wall in the space with the logo of the church, so you kind of know where you're at, but it comes up with a passcode. That way, just anybody that walks in doesn't walk up and manage to gain access to it. But from here, they can control all of the audio levels for the space. They can call presets for what event type they're doing, whether it's pre-service, whether it's a weekday event that they're hosting out in this space. They have all that functionality. And then we have tie lines out in the space that gives them connectivity, so they can plug in things out here in the lobbies and utilize the technology that most folks would just have for audio overflow or just ambient background music. they can actually use it as event space as well.
Yeah, which they already are using the tie lines on a weekly basis. So kind of right where y'all don't know, Cameron is our cameraman today. Everyone say hello to Cameron. So pretty much right where Cameron is standing, they actually have online host for their broadcast. So they have, I think, roughly 2,000 to 3,000 people watching online. They have 3,000 to 4,000 people that are here on a weekend, 2,000 to 3,000 people that are actually watching, not just like random views for like 3 seconds, but people who are not living in this area and dedicated to watching the services. So broadcast matters to them. So they want to be able to greet people, do the typical online host thing inside of the lobby. People get to have a feel of being in the environment, even if they're not here.
Right.
That all is gets to happen with the tie lines that are over there.
Yeah, infrastructure is so important to us, and you'll hear us, if anytime you work on a project with us, you'll hear us preach infrastructure, infrastructure. If we have to cut budget somewhere, it's never going to be on infrastructure. It's always going to be, hey, let's just hold off on this piece of equipment for now. We can always add that later. Really hard to go back and add conduit and cable path and wall plates with connectivity on them in another part of the building later, right? That's the piece that we need to do right up front.
Yeah. So speaking of cut budget, let's address the elephant in the room that you might hear right now. So one of the things that was cut from the budget, this was not what we advise, but it's typically the first thing that gets cut from budget. Like Trey says, budget is a reality that you got to work with on any project. So where are we able to make the project work? Well, lobby acoustics were on the chopping block. I think, if I remember correctly, this space, because this is a pretty substantial lobby space.
Yeah, it literally wraps the entire auditorium. So it doesn't seem huge where we're standing, but as you walk around it, you realize it's a lot of square footage.
Yeah, a lot of square footage. So, I mean, the cost savings to cut it was pretty substantial. I want to say it was somewhere in the $70,000 range.
Right.
But week one, opening weekend, executive pastor here comes up to me and says, hey, I know we cut this, but we really got to add this back in at some point.
Right.
So, which is a very common story for us.
It is. I think if you could pick one thing that gets added back on projects after the fact, I would say the number one piece is acoustics. Yeah. It's often cut because it's easy to not think about the impact of it. It's just not something you see. It's not something that you watch or listen to specifically, like a speaker or a microphone or a moving light or an LED wall. But when it's not there, the impact it has on all those other things is pretty drastic. And like I said, it always gets added back. Never fails.
Yeah. So they haven't added it quite yet, but it's absolutely on the table. Yeah. So a couple things to note inside of this space as well. I believe we have Bose pendant speakers going on in here. They do the job just fine. There are 4 zones for the 4 different areas of the lobby, if you will. So through QSYS, they have individual zone control. Right. We're also utilizing something called Microflex. So Shure Microflex, talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so Shure has a product called Microflex that's it's an integrated solution for wireless microphones that gives us a product that works with QSYS seamlessly. You can pick up a microphone off a charging station and it will automatically unmute itself in the system. You have a mute button on it that you can use to trigger other things. Like when you turn it on, it can automatically fade out the background music, stuff like that. It's just a way more integrated product from a microphone perspective than, let's say, a typical wireless mic, like you have a ULXD or an Axient Digital, something like that. This product is awesome for lobby spaces, classrooms, any of those type areas that you need functionality beyond just a microphone.
Yeah. So in this use case, they have individual Microflex channel control on the QSYS panel. So if they want to come out here and do an event, they can go out here and do an event without touching the overall system, without having to have a tech involved. Those the Microflex microphones are actually what they use for online hosting as well. So they'll take them off, they will host inside of the broadcast, essentially right where they're at, right there. And there are times that if they want people in the lobby to be able to hear what the online broadcast is hearing, kind of like a pregame, if you will, like as people are walking into the auditorium, there's a lot of energy inside of the space. They're able to turn up the host mic so that people can hear the announcements that are going on and when service is going to start. So it's a really fun and dynamic atmosphere. It's just a lot of flexibility with that.
Yeah, and the Microflex output is all via Dante. So it's available to us anywhere on the Dante network. So those microphones are available to us at the monitor console, at the front of house console, at the broadcast console. Anyone has access to that audio feed, and that's how we manage where it gets heard in the building outside of the QSYS world.
Yeah, and I mean, to Trey's point, this is a Dante house because we're using Yamaha products. So we're on a Rivage for front of house, we're at DM7 for ears. So being able to patch those in for creative flexibility, right? Like, so for them to be able to say they want to put these hosts inside of the auditorium for countdown for one, they can do that while it's still playing live out here, while it's still broadcasting online, and everyone has individual control of all of it.
Right.
So
really, that tracks all the way even to the intercom. Right. Even the intercom system is all Dante backbone, so we're able to patch and route things to and from the RTS intercom package onto that network and have access to that anywhere we need it as well.
Yeah, and they're using some IFB functionality. Finally.
Finally, right?
Finally using some IFB functionality. So let's hop into the auditorium and talk about some of the gear that we've got in there.
Yeah, great.
And we are in the auditorium right now. So let's talk about some things that are going on inside of this space. So as you can look around, you can see us pretty well because we're using
the light source, LED house light fixtures, full color RGB and white. We have tunable color temperature on those for that white. It makes it awesome. So in spaces like this where we're using LED wall backdrops and tunable front white lighting, we're able to color match the white levels of the house as well, so that camera shots from stage to people's faces in the auditorium are consistent color temperature.
Yeah. Why does that matter?
Well, what you don't want is to come off stage with a perfectly lit person and then take a crowd shot and all of a sudden they look orange or they look blue, right? You want your people to translate correctly from stage to house at all times. That's not to say we can't use some colorization around the outside perimeter of the room to control the size of the space, because that's also something we get with these fixtures is individual fixture control. So we're able to do things like color the outside of the room and bring the room in visually on camera.
Yeah. So we'll talk in just a minute about the front house area. We'll talk about all the cameras that we're using. But another thing inside of this space is we're talking about the room itself. So where they lack acoustic treatment out in the lobby, they have plenty of treatment inside of this space.
Yeah, you should probably hear the difference already just with us on the space we're standing in, right? You're not hearing the echo and the ambience of the space. It's just us because it's nice and tight in this room.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's a combination of, you know, custom track, custom stretch fabric along the walls, because, I mean, these were, I mean, it was the concrete wall over there. These were walls that they made in, like after the demolition. One thing we haven't gotten into is this used to be a movie theater.
Right.
So this used to be a movie theater, and you can't really see it right now, but I mean, we'll get some B-roll for you to reference now. All right, so there are massive mega girders that are up in the air. One of the challenges of this space specifically was the ceiling height. So with this it used to be a Regal Cinema with sloped floors down. They opted to flatten out the floors. They used geofoam. I mean, it was about a 3-foot grade at the back of the stage wall, which is pretty crazy. About where we're standing is where the grade started to slope down. So, I mean, might even have been more than 3 feet. It was pretty deep grade. But with them flattening out the floor and having about a 3-foot ceiling or a 3-foot stage, there were some concerns of what we were going to do with, you know, ceiling height, because we've got about 25 feet to the deck, but with these mega girders, now that they took out those load bearing walls, those are about 8-9 feet. So
yeah, it's really tall steel. The beauty of it is that they're using bar joist style girders, so we've got a lot of transparency to the girders. We're not blocking anything with them. So acoustically, it didn't hurt us. We're still able to get speakers high, keep sight lines to LED walls and video screens, and have room to do stage and set design without the PA being in front of it.
Yeah, which is, again, it's just a coordination, right? So one of the things that you might not think about when you look at all the technology and stuff that we do. I mean, we're in meetings with the architects, we're in meetings with the GC and all the other trades. I mean, specifically at one point we looked up and the HVAC had a duct running exactly through where we needed to have our PA, and the PA can't move.
Right, yeah.
The coverage of the room is the most important thing. So working with the mechanical engineer, working with the electrical engineer, these are all things that if you don't consider that in your build process, you're gonna have to pay for it either in your overall product is gonna suffer, or you're gonna pay for it in post after fixing those things.
Right.
We would much rather collaborate early on.
Yeah, and that just all goes back to relationship as well, right? We make our primary focus on any project as being developing the relationship with the client and then developing the relationship with the rest of the folks on the project. We have to have that to effectively make change when we need it. It's hard to go to someone and say, hey, I need you to redesign your HVAC ducts if you don't have a working relationship with them, because you're going to get a quick no. So developing those relationships and being team players and working together with everybody is really crucial to how we succeed on these projects.
Yeah, again, it's a construction project.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of the trades have to work together to give the client, church in this case, the best possible solution.
Right.
And the GCs that we worked with on this project, they were fantastic. Great people to work with, engaged, great company. Look them up if you want to. But I really enjoyed our relationship with them. So let's walk to stage. As we're walking to stage, we can point out some other things that are up in the air. So for our key light positions, we have megabattens, again, from the light source. So talk about why we love megabattens.
Yeah, we love the megabatten for its low profile and integrated power and data distribution. Gone are the days of big trusses and power distribution raceways out in the house where we don't have anything moving anyway, right? We don't have the budget on a lot of these projects to have front battens move up and down and that sort of thing. So we've got static lighting positions. The more we can make them low profile, the more we can make them concise in the space, the better. So the megabatten does that for us. It's literally the size of a pipe. And that's all of our power distribution, all of our data distribution, and the structure to hold the fixture.
Yeah, looks super clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very effective.
We love it.
Yep. So what we're using for key light, we're using R2X washes from Chauvet. So this one specifically, we've got a pretty close proximity to the stage, just again, based off of the ceiling height of what we're dealing with. Close proximity to the stage. When we're aiming for key light, what are we aiming at, per, like degree wise?
Yeah, right. We like to land between that 30 and 40 degree range, right? So we want to make sure we can get into the eye sockets, not have shadows on the eyes, and at the same time, control how much of the stage we're lighting. We don't want a single light trying to light a person at the front of the stage to light all the way to the back wall. We want to be able to light the area we want to light. So, you know, when we're a lower ceiling, that means the fixture is just physically closer. So we really rely on a fixture that can widen out, give us a nice soft wash where we need it, and then we can do other things if we want something hard edged.
Yeah, and the R2X did the job in this application. So again, one of the things that it's a great budget friendly fixture, not something that we would typically go to first, right? But if you've got, if you have $4 million worth of stuff you want to get inside of a $2.5 million budget, you have to make some decisions along the way.
Right, compromises are always going to be there, and you just try to be as conscious as you can as to what you're compromising on, and make decisions that are going to best serve the overall goal.
Yeah. Another, I'll say, compromise in this situation is going to be the projectors that we've got. So we have the Panasonic RE, is it the REZs now?
The RZ, probably RZ120s, is that what?
Yeah, RZ120s.
Yeah.
Are they REZ or are they RZ? I don't know, they changed their models.
Right, they do.
Yeah, but regardless, so this was an interesting conversation because this church actually had a heavy investment in LED and did not have projectors. So one of the, as we're trying to work through getting a solution together for the overall project, one of the budget solutions that we proposed out was doing projectors for your side screens. The delta for having a high quality IMAG screen in LED to a projector, it's closer than it's been.
Sure.
But it's still a great value proposition.
Yeah, you're still probably 40 grand of screen delta.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, and you're still in that range. Depending on which products you're using, of course, that delta could be larger or smaller, but
in this application,
average, about 40 grand a screen.
50, yeah.
And you know, the reality is, as long as you manage what you're doing with those screens properly and your lighting and everything else, they still serve a purpose. They're still a great product in the end. We're a huge proponent for LED. We like the way it communicates. We like the active light presence versus reflective surface. It's just not always what fits in the budget, right?
Yeah. And in power. So we'll talk about some of the power infrastructure conversations we've had around here as well. But yeah, the lighting is something that, you know, in conjunction with the projector, with the LED, you can fine tune this stuff to still make it have a sharp image.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can get clarity with projection.
Yes.
There's no question there. It's really just more about the visual impact of it.
Yeah. Is it LED? No.
Right.
But I will say they were nervous about it going into opening weekend, and then when they did their first run through, they were plenty happy.
Sure.
We were having the conversation of, I don't know, could we get some budget numbers for LED leading up? And then as soon as they saw it in run through, they said, we're fine. We don't need it.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about some other things. Why don't we talk about PA? It's where you like to live.
Yeah, I'm a PA. I'm an audio guy at heart, for sure.
So,
yeah, so we did L Acoustics in this room. We are big fans of the A15 series from L Acoustics. It's a product that fits, man, I would say these days, 80% of the rooms that we see. I mean, the church world has really settled into this, 1,000-ish seat space, right? 1,000, 1,500, and sometimes down into the 700. That range room really has taken over the design world, and A15 fits perfectly there with their with the PanFlex and the ability to change the horizontal dispersion to the 10-degree and 30-degree modules to be able to work through the vertical coverage that you need as well. It just gives us a great product and a great answer at a really friendly price.
Yeah, this location is probably the best, or this church is the best church to show off the diverse range and the dynamic range of the A15.
That's true.
Because this is a pretty wide 1,200 seat auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
They have A15s.
Right.
Their old A1 was a smaller but also a wide room. They had A15s in there.
Mm-hmm.
Their A2, because they would run 2 auditoriums at the exact same time, was also A15,
mm-hmm.
and it was a narrow...
It was like a shoebox room with
like
the
400 seats in it, something like that. So the same product could handle the same, or the diverse range of rooms.
Right, yeah. And it just is very adaptable to the spaces and how you deploy it, how you design around it, and then how you marry it up with subwoofers. So in this case, we've got flown subs that are hung in a cardioid fashion, as well as floor subs. It's the same box, just deployed differently in the 2 different spaces and applications. So we're able to get a ton of output and impact from the air, and then have effectively effect sub for the floor as well, and all using the same KS21 subwoofers.
Yeah. So on our main hangs, we've got 2 A15 Focus, 1 wide on the bottom. Our outfills are the exact same 2 Focuses and a wide on the bottom. And then there is a extension box, if you would want to say that, that is giving a further fill, because again, this is a really wide room orientation.
Right, we were just left with this little slice basically of space that was falling off a little more than we wanted as we modeled the space. So we added an additional A15 in a vertical deployment that gave us effectively a 30-degree slice of the room over there, and it filled it in perfect, right? So now the room is consistent all the way out to the wall. Then we did front fills as well in the face of the stage. We've got 5 XTs cut into the stage, and they just fit right in, give us all the localization we need for these front rows, so that they're not pulled up into the ceiling when they're listening. It brings that image right down to the floor, right where the speaker is.
Yeah, and fun fact with the stage is also a concrete pour. So this was leveled out with geofoam. The stage is built out on geofoam with a concrete slab on top of that. So we had to work with the structural guys here and the GC here to make sure that our cutouts for the 5XTs were poured properly.
Right.
That they actually had the frames built out, which was really interesting. We were getting into the engineering conversation of could we cantilever that much of a slab over top of this KS21 cavity, right? And so we ended up being able to do that successfully, which is fun.
Right. Yeah, and in this space, you see all the speakers, right? They were fine with seeing them. That's a quick and easy installation. Low cost impact for having them in the front of the stage. We've got other projects where they don't want to see any speakers, right? If you don't want to see it, that's great. We actually use the exact same acoustical material that you see on the front of the subwoofer there to create custom covers for all of the speakers in a situation where you don't want to see them.
Yeah. X12s for monitors. Pastor loves to be able to hear himself when he's speaking. So that was a really big thing for them. Another big thing, if you're going to put monitors like that on stage, you know what you need to have?
You need to have a place to plug them in.
Well, yes, thank you, Trey. That's also very important. You know what else you need? You need a microphone that is not an omnidirectional microphone.
Well, that does help if you want to actually be able to get some gain in that monitor.
Yes. So I believe Pastor's mic is a 4088 from DPA. Cardioid. Sounds fantastic. Everyone who is in the audio world knows.
Right.
That's the ticket.
That is. It's a great sounding mic, and it's a really, really well behaved mic. You pair that with a nice monitor wedge that's got a great flat response, and you can get plenty of gain to keep them happy.
That's right. All right.
Acoustics over the stage matter too. Once you start putting monitor wedges down and you're putting sound up into the ceiling, you need to make sure you're managing that, because you don't want that reflecting back down and creating havoc for everyone else on stage.
Yeah, so we do have lapidary panels up over top of the HVAC, another thing that we had to coordinate with the GC. Back behind the LED wall, there is curtain. There's rose brand curtain, and it's got some acoustical properties in it.
Sure.
You know, it's gonna help absorb some of those mid-range, higher frequencies.
Right, yeah, we'll go with a heavier weight velour most of the time on those stage curtains. Not necessarily for the aesthetic of the curtain itself, but more for the acoustical value, because it's a lot less expensive to upgrade the weight of the curtain than it is to go back and add acoustic treatment to do what the curtain can do for you anyway.
And I believe there's actually theater board behind it as well that has absorption material as well. So
right, we'll do that a lot of times on the wall behind the curtains that you don't see, because theater board's not pretty, but it's really effective, and it gives us a different range of absorption than what the curtain can do.
Yeah, let's talk about the LED that's on the stage and then the lighting that we've got here. So let's talk about the LED. This is Square V VX 2.5 from Square V. So talk about the relationship we've had with Square V and the product line.
So Square V has been a partner with us for years now. They are a fantastic LED manufacturer based here in the United States, based right outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Great accessibility for support, great product. It's funny, we always harp on how great their support is and how accessible they are, when in reality, they're probably one of the products we need the least support on. So, you know, a lot of LED product is known for having pixel failure and constant service, and that's to be expected on some things. Their product, the way they designed it and the way they build it, really has very little of that. We touch their product after we install it super rarely. So we've stuck with them for years now, and we use a lot of their stuff. The VX line is their latest portable style panel, and it gives us a lot of flexibility for deployment. We can curve it, we can hang it flat, it goes up and down really easily, and the reliability is there.
Right on. Lighting. This is a Chauvet house. So
it is.
Quite a few Chauvet fixtures. So one of the things that, again, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. The curse is that you've got 9-foot girders going over the stage, right? So it kind of limits what you can do in terms of your lighting rig. So we chose to be underneath the girder with everything. That way we're not getting weird shadows when we're casting across and trying to get that right. But the blessing is, though, we don't have to have the highest output fixtures.
Right.
And because of that, we're able to be really power efficient and use some fixtures that, you know, are a lot more cost effective. And Chauvet has a great line of fixtures to do just that in their Rogue series.
They do, and we're able to get enough quantity in the air with the power draw and the price point for the fixture to create a great set, get a good look up there. And we're able to leverage the trussing structure we had to put up to support the LED wall as an additional lighting position as well. So when you look over the stage here, you'll see we've got mega batten, we've got truss. It's a little bit of a mixture, but we've still got enough options to create some depth on the stage with multiple positions, and then tying it in with fixtures on the floor. It's a really great look.
Yeah, so we've got a combination of M strikes. We've got some strike arrays, the new strike colors, or what, I can't remember the name of them. We have some Rogue Outcast, the 2 beams. So just a combination of a bunch of different fixtures to give a variety of different looks. This church specifically is, you know, you can see some of the haze that's pumped into the background as it's starting to fill the space, but haze has not been a big thing for them. So lighting has not been a huge dynamic show that a lot of people are, you know, maybe who are in church or in production space are used to.
Right.
They are more about, let's set a scene and then we'll use a little bit of movement throughout the song. Not, we're gonna go through 100 cues per song.
Sure.
So, you know, gear follows the vision of the house, right? So whatever whatever the programming needs are, those are all things that are in consideration when we're talking about designs like this.
All right, what hazer are we using here, Travis?
The only one that ever matters.
That's right. So we are MDG fans when it comes to haze. There's a CO2 based hazer. As you can see just in looking at the beams, it's a super fine light mist haze. You'll see a lot of movement of it in here just because there's a decent amount of airflow. So as you look into the beam, you're seeing the haze move quite a bit, but the density of the haze and the fineness of the particle that it creates gives you that super nice look. You're not seeing clouds, you're not seeing this big wafting thing of smoke through the room. You're literally just seeing the light beam.
Yeah, and once the room has, you know, it's filled up in a certain sense, it's able to really rest in the room and do its job without being super noticeable.
Yeah.
That's the best kind of hazer, when you don't really realize it's there until you turn all the house lights on.
Yeah, right. And you realize, oh, okay, I see every light. Okay, great.
Right on, right on. Anything else of note that we want to talk about on the stage?
No, I mean, I think it's interesting the way they have come in and used additional LED tiles and wrapped their drum and keyboard risers, things like that, just to tie in the visual look down onto the stage. They've done a great job with using the tools that they've got to give have some creative freedom with what their visuals are in the space.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of things we could talk about in here infrastructure-wise, with floor pockets on the stage for having AR mic positions and guitar pedal board positions and all these sorts of things that you might want to plug in on the front of your stage without dragging cables from the back.
Yep. Infrastructure is
key, right?
We really
like to harp on infrastructure.
One thing that's fun you brought up about the LED wall, I forgot about. So we got to be a little creative. So when we initially designed the stage and went to place all the POs and, you know, move forward with the project, the one instruction that the church had when it came to stage design was, we do not want a center screen LED. We do not want a center screen LED, because they've had center screen LED for forever. So if you notice, there is a center screen LED right now, because after all of the LED product was purchased, after everything was shipping and or already at the warehouse waiting to come out to be deployed, they had a conversation with Pastor, who said, hey, I really do want actually a center screen, which I was surprised that they got away with it for that long, maybe in their minds, because I mean, how many pastors do you know who are okay with not having a center screen LED wall?
Right.
Which it does really serve a great purpose here because of some of the sightline limitations of what a low ceiling does.
Right.
But that was just something we had to redesign on the fly and reorient where the tiles were going to go and how all that worked. But when you have proper infrastructure, not a problem.
Not a problem. And product choice, right? So when we're doing LED side screens versus LED stage package, it's a different product. It may be the same LED chip so that visually it'll provide the same result. However, we make sure that the LED product on the stage is a portable cabinet that can be reconfigured and redeployed different ways, so that in a situation like this where they just made a design requirement change on us, late in the game, it was easy. We could just reconfigure it, deploy it how they wanted. Or in a situation where we have other clients that change their stage design constantly, they can take that LED wall apart, put it up in a different way, and they'll do that once, twice, 8 times a year, depending on who it is.
Yep. Another quick thing to note out, their drum cage, you look at it and you're like, wow, that looks clean, that looks cool. And you're like, plexiglass looks amazing. It's not plexiglass, it is tempered glass.
Tempered glass, yeah.
It is actual glass up there. They built it themselves, and it does the job, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it does look really good.
It looks really great on camera. It looks great in the room. I just think it's funny. That thing is heavy as all get out.
Oh yeah.
Like, you don't want that.
It kind of looks like he's in a gift box.
Yes.
Clear gift box.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go over to front of house and let's talk about some stuff up there.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're in the front of house booth. So let's talk about the audio desk that they've got. So talk us through, Trey.
Here we have the Yamaha Rivage PM3 front of house console. They wanted to go with Rivage so they could have the Rupert Neve Silk. So to accomplish that, we used a RPIO 622 with 2 input cards in it, which gave them 32 mic pre's worth of Silk capable pre's. And then they added some additional Rio boxes to get in all the rest of the stage inputs that weren't as high priority inputs for them. So we've got a combination here of both of RPIO and Rio boxes. And then other Dante sources like wireless microphones from Shure. Their tracks come in via Dante. All of the I/O to the video router is Dante. So in the Yamaha world, Dante is king. So we've got both twin lane and Dante coming in for the front of house desk. And then at Monitor World, they're using a DM7. So Monitor World and Broadcast all feed from direct outs off the front of house Rivage, which gives them a little bit more simpler patching environment. And they've got the capacity on the front of house desk to do that. So
Yeah.
that's why we went with Rivage, just the overall capacities and some of that sonic characteristic they really wanted.
Yeah, and on top of that, inside of all their other myriad of venues in the past, they had CL5s.
Right.
Still have CL5s because they're still having to support those venues. So for us to jump to a whole new platform, like, are we the biggest Yamaha fans?
I mean, I cut my teeth on Yamaha consoles, so
Yeah.
you're never gonna get me to hate on them.
They sound amazing.
They do.
They do sound amazing. Their workflow is not necessarily my personal favorite, and their flexibility is not my personal favorite either, right? Like, there's a lot of other options that exist out there. Still a great console, for sure. It sounds amazing. A lot of people, it is their flavor. But here, preference-wise, like in what they were already operating on, it was a great platform for them to move forward into. A jump from CL to Rivage is not the biggest jump in terms of
No, it's
or UI.
Yeah, it's super familiar, right? So going from any of the Yamaha platforms is pretty simple. I would say the biggest jump these days is going to be from any of the CL, Rivage, any of that up to the DM7 platform. That's probably the biggest change we've seen from Yamaha in GUI in years.
Yeah.
But the Rivage to CL, if you're going from those steps, is a really comfortable change. It's easy to navigate, and you gain so much more processing capability in the Rivage world. Plus all the fun processing that they give you, right? Some of the premium effects, some of the silk and things like that you get in Rivage, you really can't get anywhere else.
No. So they've got a Waves server here to run Waves, and so they're using that. They have a DK3016, DKP3016 from RTS for the comm station over here.
Right.
We have a multi-viewer. We like to place multi-viewers at front of house location, at lighting location. We also have one for producer station, if you will, service producer. Let's talk about the QSys functionality we've got going on right here.
Right, so we like I said, we really rely heavily on QSys for both control, routing, and monitoring of things. Here at front of house, we're using the QSys touchscreen to control levels out into the lobby spaces, kid spaces, all of that, as well as to turn those things on and off. We want to be able to, at any point, manage what the entire facility can hear. So we do all that through QSys. We also want to be able to monitor the health of the sound system. We want to know, are all the amplifiers good? Do we have signal to everything? Are we getting output where we think we are? Because right, you're in a really wide room. Standing right here, we hear one thing. However, we have to trust and know that the seats over there, their speakers are working as well, right? So the QSys screen gives us all of that feedback from the acoustics amplifiers.
Let's keep on working our way down, but before we talk about that, let's talk about the size of this booth. So if you're watching this, you've probably made the assumption that this is a pretty tight booth. That is a true assumption.
It's probably a bit of an understated assumption.
Yeah, it's a little tight. It kind of gets in the way of operation some on weekends. So this is a really great use case as to giving yourself a little bit more space than what you think you might need. Right. So inside of the design, again, with the amount of growth that the church is experiencing and already feeling some of the pressure of this being a space that's going to be at capacity, chairs and butts and seats are at an all-time premium. And so we went back and forth in the design conversation of how much space are we allowed to have up here, and ended up like, this is the playground that you got to be within. And I think on the back end of it, we could have just extended it out. You know, the
reality is we needed 3 more feet.
Yeah.
And in this world, that's a row of seats, right? So we'd have had to given up a row of seats, but it would have been a drastic difference in the operation of this booth.
Yeah.
The ability to walk past someone, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the
they make
trick.
it work on weekends for sure, but
do.
you definitely want to have a little bit more breathing room when something like this is, when you're operating in a space such as this, because this is a long front of house booth. There's a lot going on in there. There are camera platforms, there's a lighting station, there's a service producer station. So this is just, if you are in new construction or you're in the conversations of new construction, I want this to be a really great use case for you when you're having the conversation of the front of house space, because it absolutely, they were growing regardless. They've already had to move to 3 services instead of just 2 services. It's crazy the amount of growth that they're having here. They're having to work around this. So in the future, I think that in talking with their team, they would have wanted to have a bigger space for sure. So
one thing we did here to help manage the space we had, right, is we used desks from our friends at Forecast, Forecast Consoles. They give us some of the most functional furniture for technical spaces that anybody has ever done, I believe. So we got purpose-built furniture for technical spaces that give us things like mounting rails and tracks for monitors, access panels and cable management underneath the desks. It really did make the absolute most out of the space we have.
Yeah, 1000%. So let's keep on working our way down. So next we have, in the camera 1 position, we have Komodo X with a 25 to 250 lens from Canon. So the red Komodo X, this was our second install using red. The image is a beautiful image. So the system here, they're running at 1080p 24 frames per second. So the cameras just look fantastic with all this. They're using Komodo X's for all their cameras, 5 camera operation. So camera 1's here, camera 2 they use as a cutaway, camera 3, 4, 5 are mobile cameras. They'll actually take camera 3 and they'll put it up here during service as another shot during message, not during service, but during message. But yeah, big fans of the way that the Komodo X's look. We're using Hollyland for the tally, and gotta be honest, they work.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we're pairing up all this high-end gear and everything, and then you get down to tally, and it's like, well, what are you gonna do? And frankly, the Hollyland tally system has been one of the easiest solutions that we've come across, and it's been reliable. It's kind of hard to argue.
Yeah, but like, I don't want to like it, but it's growing on me.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It does the job.
It does the job well.
Yep.
All right, so beyond the camera stations for camera 1 and camera 2, we have a position for producer that has a KVM and also has an Ultra Touch, 2U Ultra Touch monitor for the system. So in any case where we've got a video control room, a central equipment room, an audio control room, in a time where they're wanting to cut a small show here, they can do that. They can cut cameras, they can cut all the things that are going to iMag or even to the LED wall. We've given some extra functionality. Producer station has a KVM there as well to be able to process through all the different computers, all the different CG machines. Why does that matter? Well, especially when you're programming throughout the week, for you to be able to program lighting, to be able to program all your CG content and actually cut between things to make sure everything looks right, is working right, like in one spot. Used to be musical chairs, used to be team viewers, and and now we're able to use the Adder Infinity series, phenomenal solution.
Yeah, the Adder products become really integral to most of our designs now. Probably the number one advantage to us is that it centralizes all of the computer hardware in the central equipment room. So all of our computer systems are in the central equipment racks, on the UPS systems, in close proximity to the video routers, close proximity to the central network switches. Everything is kept right there together. So all of the critical infrastructure is in one place, and then we're just simply extending out the control and monitors for those computers over the network. All the Adder stuff lives on our technical network, and we can access any of the Adder provisioned computers at any of the operator stations.
Another thing that's going on over there beside the producer station is the lighting station. So we're using a CommandWing XT. So it's built in there with touch screens to be able to, for quick programming purposes. What is that, 4,096 parameters available to you in that, so 8 universes there. What a great freaking affordable little console.
Yeah, Grand MA finally gave us a product that fits most any church budget and gives you the full Grand MA3 workflow. It's been a really welcome change for us. We used to struggle to get the MA product line into the church designs most of the time because of budget. With the on PC Command Wing XT having the motherboard built in, not having to have an external computer, all of that has really changed the game for us. And now I would say 85% of our projects land with Grand MA3.
That might even be low.
That may be low.
That might be low.
I'm trying to account for the couple that they still are holding on to whatever platform that they currently operate in. Just like here, right? This is a Yamaha house. We went Yamaha in the new room because that's what they know. The reality is when you're at a church project that's going from one room to another and they have to change over in a week's time, there's not a lot of time to learn a whole new platform, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of value to being consistent with platforms from space to space.
Yeah. In this space, though, there was a lot of learning because while they were comfortable with Yamaha, they were comfortable with L Acoustics, they are on a brand new lighting platform. They're on a brand new switching and routing platform, which we're about to discuss in a second. But yeah, it is a tense time. Nobody really ever talks about that. Everyone wants to post about the exciting times of, hey, I got all this new gear, but nobody ever talks about the anxiety that the production guy has to feel of like, I've got to learn this stuff because as soon as something goes wrong or something's not executed well, all eyes are on me, and do I know how to solve it?
Right. And that comes down to that couple weeks before, to the involvement of the technical team with our teams and those guys being alongside of our guys and really understanding how the system goes together, how the system operates, how you configure things, how you make changes. Our team is very accustomed to and good at working alongside of the technical staff at the churches that we're working at and making sure that they're empowered to work on the system when we leave. The reality is we're never gone. We're always a phone call away or a remote login away to help out. But we need the teams that we are leaving with these systems to be able to know how to operate them. Yeah. Right?
The reality is
they got to own it, right? The reality is most of our teams work at or serve at churches as well on the weekends when they're home. So in a perfect world, we would love to not be having to answer phone calls of why doesn't this work or how do I make this happen on a Sunday morning. We do it. Yeah, we always do.
But we want to minimize it.
Right. Yeah, we want to be able to go home, have our family time, and serve our churches as well. But this was a great case of it. I would say that I have been amazed at how little I have talked to this team since I left. The rest not because I haven't had time to talk to them, just because they haven't reached out. They haven't needed it. They've done a great job of taking what we showed them and owning it and moving forward.
That or they call Josh.
Poor Josh. He gets a lot of it. But no, I believe these guys really have done a great job of taking off with it.
Well, anything else of note you want to talk about before we go to the control area?
No, just again, more infrastructure pieces, right? We've got tie line panels here. We've got tie line panels in the audio desks. We've got tie line panels over lighting. There's lots of infrastructure, right?
MTP.
Yeah, MTP fiber infrastructure across this whole building.
Yep.
All of the main control positions and rack rooms, rack positions, all have MTP fiber infrastructure going all back to the central equipment room for a centralized fiber patch. It's a really cost-effective way of getting a lot of data around a building.
Yeah. And we place switches per location, right? So we've got a Netgear switch here, we've got a Netgear switch on the other side, all in the GSM line. And so what we're typically doing in projects of this where we're not having to get into any of the 2110 stuff, 10 gig trunks between all the different switches is plenty for what we're doing.
Right.
But we could talk about that in just a minute when we're in the control room.
Sure.
Let's go check it out.
Let's do it.
And we are now in the control room. So this is video control.
Affectionately known by their team as NASA.
Yeah, which is one of the cooler things
it's funny.
that the client has ever come up with, which is amazing. The team calls it NASA. So we're going to talk you through, in a very fast order, all of the different positions that they have inside of here. And we'll talk about the gear. We'll talk about the beautiful forecast consoles. Again, the team at Forecast has outdone themselves. It's just like a basic model, but it's so good.
Right. Yeah. This
Clean.
is as simple as it gets from them, but it just looks great and serves a ton of functionality.
So let's walk in. Let's talk about the serving positions down. Like this is down multi-viewer left.
Yeah. Right. So we've got on the back row. We'll knock this row out because this is pretty much the same. We've got 3 CG positions. We've got one position with dual monitor KVM. That is the Resolume control position, and then 2 per presenter positions, and then we'll come up to the front row where we start with an engineering position or shading position, whatever your term you want to use for it. But this is where they do all the camera management for colorization, for iris control of the cameras, all of that. They're able to monitor the quality of the shots happening. This is also where they do some of the capture, and they have control panels for the router here to manage what's going to their engineering monitor, what's going to this capture device as well, and then of course intercom.
Cyan view.
Yeah, Cyan view controllers. Once you start getting into cinema cameras, right, you don't have the traditional broadcast control panels with most cinema cameras. So we leverage product from a company called Cyan View, which gives us a true broadcast feel control solution for those cameras. The other advantage here is that these can control pretty much any camera, whether it be a real broadcast camera, a cinema camera, or a mix of cinema camera brands. So if you had 5 Red cameras, a couple Canons, and 2 Blackmagic Ursas, whatever, right? Whatever you've got, we can start integrating into the same control panel so that your desk looks consistent. Your operator sitting here has no real thought as to what kind of camera he's controlling. He's just doing the job and doing it consistently without thinking about the different hardware.
Right on. Moving on.
So we get into our primary switching position. We're using the Ross touch drive switcher panels. This is a 2ME panel, which effectively means 2 stripes of control. They can control two buses of the switcher at the same time. We can also switch to control different parts of the switcher. That's the nice thing with touch drive, is it's very adaptable, very easy to change what you're controlling. But this is the primary control position where they're switching, cutting cameras, and managing all of the content that you see in the room. We have a touch panel here that goes along with that switcher where they can control the keyers, control custom control, switching, all sorts of things that you can do inside of that touch screen that is married to the switcher. It's literally a part of the video switcher.
We're running all of this room off of QSys. So
imagine that.
Yeah, QSys is the backbone of all of these designs that we're doing these days. So for us, you can actually, inside a video control right here, you can turn on all of the displays throughout the entire building. Mm-hmm. So your video control displays for your multi-viewers, your confidence monitors, your stage displays, your LED wall, your projectors, you can literally turn them on all right here. So pretty cool to think through. Gone are the days of the tech director getting here at 5 a.m. just to spend 3 hours turning on all of the different things with all the different
running
remotes.
around with the remote control and hoping to find the remote control.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's over.
Because youth ministry lost it a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So we also have...
bust all the youth guys.
You know it's true. So audio monitoring. So we have the ability for them to, we've got Genelec, the 4430s in here, which are Dante PoE. Mm-hmm. Really great sounding Genelec speakers. They do the job inside of this space very well. Because this was an all Dante house already, we decided, well, why not? Let's go ahead and add some Dante PoE speakers in there. So we could route whatever we needed to route inside of this space on the Dante network, and then we're controlling it right here. So they have the ability to reference the outputs of the CGs or what's going on live inside the space. So they can do all that.
And that's something a lot of times it's not thought about, but we feel is super important. And we've done it for years now, but just the ability to, from the control room, have monitoring and previewing capability of not just audio from the CG computers, but multi-channel audio. So if your CG is sending out an audio file with 8 channels of audio with click and guide and all sorts of things for a special element, you need to be able to preview that and check that in the control space, not necessarily live during run through when the band and everyone else is depending on it, right? So having the ability from an easy interface to listen and check all of those things is pretty crucial.
Yeah, very helpful. Moving on, what we got here?
So we're into a producer position now. This is the director or the producer, depending on titles used at the different facilities, but here is the director operation position. So they again, like right now, you see they have Resolute pulled up over here. It's another KVM. They can pull any of these stations to this position. They'll also have their primary intercom panel here, as well as some tie lines. And you see, just so happened that the video switch for this row ended up in this turret. So we've got, again, Netgear switches lives in every portion of this project. We can get any portion of the network to show up anywhere we need it. But yeah, this guy can control and manage anything he needs to from this seat.
Yep. Moving on, last position inside of video control.
Right, so we've got another switching position here. It's again a Ross touch drive panel. This is just the 1ME smallest touch drive panel that they offer in the line. But you still got 15 cross point buttons. You can do a lot on it. And this gives us a physical panel for them to manage the online output. So whatever's going out for online, or in some places, they let online be the primary panel, and this becomes IMAG panel. Just depends on the site and the way they need to operate for that particular event. But it gives a hands-on, easy seat to manage the other switcher output without the guy in the primary cutting position having to think and try and do too many things at once. It's funny how much you can overload someone and create errors in a service just because they're trying to do too many things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, why don't we do this? We're going to walk through, because when we put together a broadcast area, when we say broadcast area, we're talking about video control, we're talking about broadcast audio, and we're talking about CER. So we like to have everything like physically in proximity to each other for a myriad of reasons. We'll list out some of those.
Yeah, so cabling infrastructure is probably one of the biggest things. Keeping cable distance short is one of the biggest ways you can eliminate problems in your system design. There's a lot more tolerance for a connector issue, a dirty connector, anything like that when the cable distance is short than when you're at the very limit of what it can do anyway. And then perfection is everything. So we try to give ourselves as much grace as we can with just keeping things close together. Also for accessibility, right? Whenever you're in the heat of battle and you need to go make a patch change, you need to move something, you need to go check something, being able to go through one door and be at your central equipment room is a huge win versus having to walk across a building to get to something. That's a big part of our design. We really like to get our control suite all together with the central equipment room, the audio control room, the video production room, all of that stuff we try to always build out into a centralized space and keep it all together. So one of the reasons we like to keep the secondary switcher panel and the primary switcher panel in the same space, and you'll notice here, they're literally on either side of the director. It gives them the ability to have simple visual communication with each other. Given that the online may have a separate producer even calling that part of the event versus the IMAG person, they still are all dependent on that one video director calling camera shots, right? It's not separate camera operators and separate cameras for online versus IMAG. It's the same system. So for those two switcher operators to be in the same proximity to each other and being able to visually see each other and know what the moves they're making, it's very important and makes that workflow so much more reliable and so much easier to deal with from a communication standpoint than having a separate control room, for instance, right? We've done projects where video for IMAG and video for online are in separate control rooms. That's not our preference, to be frank. We do it when we're asked to, and that's their workflow, and that's fine, right? Everyone has their own workflow. But if we're designing and guiding the workflow, this is our preferred method. It just simplifies the communication and it makes everyone be a lot more cohesive.
And we are in broadcast audio now. So it does not look like a broadcast audio room.
It doesn't, right? It looks almost like a CG station.
Yeah, only because we do have a multi-viewer right here.
Yeah.
We do have Genelec speakers. We do have a beautiful custom forecast desk with some nice rack space underneath. But there's no console.
Yeah, we're kind of missing the audio console.
Yeah.
And to be frank, this is probably my least favorite part of this entire project. I'm going to step on toes now. But at the end of the day, the budget was budget, right? The project had to go, and this was something that just didn't fit in the budget day one. The space is still built. The infrastructure is still here. Everything exists to make it work however we want it to work now or later. But the choice was made that, hey, we're going to have to be 100% in the box for the broadcast mix here. And they're doing it in Ableton. And again, probably the last thing I would have chosen to mix a broadcast in. But guess what? These guys are doing it, and they're doing it quite well. It's just turning out a good product.
How do you feel about broadcast?
Yeah,
in case it was unclear.
just to be clear, I've been doing this for almost 30 years. So when I started doing this, the consoles were really big and really heavy. So the further we go down through time, the less console I have sitting in front of me. So the idea of mixing with a mouse and that's it is just not my favorite thing. But hey, the guys are doing it. It's working well.
Sounds good.
The infrastructure serving its purpose.
Yeah.
Giving them that flexibility.
You have never sounded more old man shaking
I
his
know,
fist
right?
to me than like right now.
Hey, I warned you. I warned you when we walked into this room.
You do you.
Yep.
You do you. All right, well, let's get Trey out of here.
Yeah, right.
Before
I'm gonna
he
leave now.
freaking blows up. Let's go to the CER. All right, we are in the central equipment room. I almost forgot what room we're in. I am standing under a beautifully laced service loop for cable right here with this beautiful cable ladder.
Yeah, you'll notice it's extended out over his head like this because it's planned for future rack expansion, right?
That's right.
We talk about infrastructure, this is more of it.
So we're going to blast through the equipment rack pretty fast, only because it's kind of loud in here. It's kind of cold in here.
Well, noisy.
Yeah.
Noisy fans.
So the one thing that we can't help is we can't help the noise from the equipment. I mean, that's just part of it. And FR2 sounds like a freaking airplane.
It does.
But the one thing that we were big advocates for was the AC being turned on in this bad boy all the time.
Yes.
It is cold by design. There's a lot of heat being put off from this stuff, and there's a lot of money invested in this equipment.
Right.
You want to make sure that you've got the temperature down so the shelf life of this thing exists for a long time.
Right.
But let's talk through the clocking system that we have for this entire thing.
Sure, so we're using a product from Brainstorm for all of the house reference and audio clocking. It's a single unit, GPS managed, that gives us all of our audio word clock reference as well as our video Genlock reference for the entire system, whether it be for the Dante network, the Yamaha consoles word clock, the reference for the video system, for the raw switching and routing. Everything comes from the one device, so everything is locked together. I mean, the reason that's so important is all of the equipment is connected together. Even the video router sits on the Dante network. So the audio clocking and the video reference timing has to be together all the way through.
Yeah. Speaking of video routing, we have the Ross FR2 NS, new style. Just a fun little product code thing for the nerds out there. So inside of that, we have a Carbonite Ultra, or Carbonite Blade.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, so we use the SDP processing engine card that we're able to flash with whatever product we want from Ross. And in this case, it's the Carbonite Ultra switching platform. So it's part of the router. It's a blade that sits into one of the router I/O slots and has access to all of the I/O of the router.
Yeah, one thing, this is our first time that we're actually doing the Dante embed for audio. We've done MADI embedding with the video router
Since they launched it.
they launched it. This is the first time that we did Dante because it made sense in this application.
Yeah,
so,
it did. Anyway, typically when it comes to video audio, we are MADI people. We prefer MADI because guess what? MADI is tried and true and it never changes, right? MADI is always what MADI is. Dante's very...
Dante's Dante.
Yeah, Dante's Dante, right? It changes a lot. It can be big, it can be small, it can be high bandwidth, it can be low bandwidth, it can be a lot of different things. And the routing of Dante is all just a network protocol. So it doesn't have the same robustness necessarily that MADI does. So we've traditionally been MADI people. This system, there was just a design choice made that we're going to be in a Dante world no matter what we do. So let's just sell out to it, right? Yeah. And that's what we did.
Kind of an inevitable situation.
Yeah, we would have been adapting to it either way to get into the Yamaha world. So why not start there?
Yeah. Talking about another inevitability. So we're in a weird time right now when it comes to video infrastructure because 12G and UHD, all of that, it's here in some applications.
Yep.
And you know, some places it's not all the way here yet. It's still a little cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
So this is a really great place where I would call it as a hybrid where you're getting ready for what the inevitability is.
Sure.
So right now the system is being ran in 1080p, 24 frames per second. That's a choice of the end user. They wanted to run it at 24. But the infrastructure that was ran is all 12G ready. Right. So even though we're not sending 4K signal through it, there's going to be a day where 4K signal is going to be sent through it.
Sure.
And they're ready for it. So a lot of churches, right now in this new construction phase where maybe you're not quite ready to make that jump, financially you don't want to do it. Maybe it's a camera investment, maybe it's a bandwidth, whatever it is. You know, Ross makes it easy for us to just license up, but if we don't lay the right infrastructure from a cabling perspective, if all the tie lines are not ready for that, then it doesn't matter. So we have tie lines that are all 12G, every cable that's ran for the cameras, everything video-wise, cabling is 12G rated and ready to go. So as soon as they're ready to switch over the cameras, as soon as they're ready to license up, which that did end up becoming a budget thing for us here.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great feature that Ross gives us. So we're able to save a chunk of money on the router without changing anything hardware-wise. We're just able to not license it to 12G.
Yeah.
It's a 3G router today, although the hardware is 100% 12G capable.
Yeah. Three other main things I want to talk about. So RTS, the mainframe, we have Odin here.
Right.
We use that quite a bit. Again, it makes great sense inside of this application because of the Dante functionality.
Yep.
The other thing that we've got in here is we have the Paradigm lighting control that's actually racked inside of here.
Right.
So Paradigm is kind of the backbone of everything from a lighting perspective.
Yeah, for the architectural side of the lighting, for the house lights and the architectural control systems for the house lighting, it's all done by ETC Paradigm. I think it's arguably the most robust and widely accepted industry solution for architectural lighting control. You see it everywhere from churches to baseball stadiums, right? It's in hotels and casinos and everywhere. It's just the most well-known, robust solution for it. And we adapt it to most all of our projects for house lighting control. And lobby lighting control and any other spaces. Basically, we like to manage the lighting control for any space that touches the worship space. So whether that be a hallway that has direct access in through a door, or the lobby, or backstage, anything that has a light that touches the performance space in any way, we want to manage the control of that light.
Yep. So last thing I want to talk about, all the patch bays, video network, and our MTP hub that is right here, our fiber tray. Everything hubs here. Everything hubs here network-wise as well. So we have one switch that then stars off to feed with 10 gig trunk lines.
Right. It's called the core switch. It's a whole bunch of 10 gig ports on it that are SFP ports, so we can do fiber directly to it. We can do 10 gig copper in and out of it, whatever we need, but it's our primary core switch and everything stars off of that.
Yeah, so talk about, everything's on one network, but we have multiple VLANs.
Yeah, right. So it's all one physical network, but it's broken up into a whole bunch of virtual networks via VLANs in the Netgear platform. And the reason we choose Netgear is that they've really taken a big step to develop a product line that is for the AV industry. They've developed all of the networking profiles that are needed to support all the different things that we do with network, whether it be Dante audio, whether it be QSys QLAN audio, or NDI video out across the network. All of these different things, lighting control with SACN, all of these different types of video signals, or not video signals, but networking signals have to be managed differently on the network side. So they gave us profiles that we're able just to assign out to these different VLANs, and then all the gear works. We've got some LED wall processing for the lobby LED walls that is here. You'll see the other LED processing in another part of the building, and that all goes back to just network control capability, right? We're able to put these LED processors where we needed them versus
where it makes sense for the application.
Right.
So we're one stop away from being done with this video. Let's go check out the stage equipment racks where we've got all things for audio I/O and
monitor world
monitor world
all
and
together.
The LED processor.
Yeah,
for the main
absolutely.
LED.
Let's do it.
Let's go. We have made it to our final area that we're going to be talking about, the stage equipment rack. So right now we are back of house right. So off stage left, you exit back to this area, kind of their staging area to get up to the stage.
Right.
So we've got two racks right here that we're going to talk through. This is where all of audio I/O exists for the building, and then we've got some fun wireless stuff to talk through. So lead us in, Trey.
Yeah, so this is our hub for audio patching for the building. So we've got the Bittree TT patch bays that bring all of our stage audio infrastructure and any other tie line infrastructure in the building back to a centralized patching point that we're able to then patch in and out of our analog I/O if we need to, or just putting things together from one place to another in the building to get audio through the building. We also have, again, more video tie lines and
Network
audio
tie
tie lines, network tie lines, network patching for everything that's on this side of the world, and then ties from here back to the central equipment room as well. So everything all hooks back to the central equipment room at some point, but audio is the one somewhat difference in that we centralize our audio patching around the core of the audio console infrastructure, which in this case is the RPIOs and the Rio boxes for the Yamaha desks.
Yep.
We also have the video wall processor for the main stage LED, which is a Novastar H2. We really rely on the H series from Novastar quite a bit. They scale well and they give us a lot of flexibility. Again, you'll see more fiber infrastructure and Netgear AV line switches. And then we move over and see some of the lighting infrastructure. So this is the RDM and DMX gateway for the stage, and then a repeater. The repeater is doing most of our house light outputs just to get out to the different zones of the house lighting. Then we come down and we see the new Axient digital IEM systems. This is back before they launched the multi-channel licensing feature for these. So you'll see to get the 16 channels of IEM, we actually have 4 of the transmitters.
The noise floor on these things is ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, they sound fantastic, right? They almost sound like they're not working until you start passing audio and you realize, oh, okay, it is on. Anyway, then we've got the ULXD quad receivers for the wireless systems for the stage package. They've got 16 channels there as well. The other things in here is the amplification system for the house PA. So the entire house audio system is driven by 3 LA 7.16i's. So in 6 rack spaces, we've got 48 channels of amplification. It's pretty wild, the density that you get there.
Mm-hmm. With the Avitron box as well, where we're converting Dante to AVB to
right,
get the
yeah.
protocol.
All of the exactly, all of the network audio for the L-acoustic system relies on the AVB network protocol. So our bridge to that is the Avitron audio toolbox. It's done a great job for us.
Well, let's move over to our monitor desk.
Yeah.
And before we do that, we could check out all of the actual charging stations for the wireless as well.
Right.
I love when people have the little drawers and like these nice little tool chests and stuff.
Yeah.
Extra storage, fun little spot where you can house everything, clean solution. Love that.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's go.
One thing about these,
Sorry.
Hey, calm down, guy. One cool thing about these network drop-in stations, you're able to monitor them in Wireless Workbench, so you know your charging status of your equipment from an operator position. You don't have to worry about, from the front of house guy's perspective, is that microphone being charged? You know it's not on stage, but did they actually remember to plug it in? Is it going to be charged when we need it next service? So you can see all of that from Wireless Workbench. And if you're an operator that likes to lock out the switches on your mics so your people don't accidentally turn them off or forget to turn them on, they have the functionality that when you drop it into the charger, it turns the transmitter off for you. So the second you put it in the charger, transmitter turns off. The second you pull it out, it just comes back on.
Yep.
It's nice.
All right, let's talk about the DM7.
All right. So this is the newest offering from Yamaha, the DM7 with the expander. This is doing all of the monitor mixing services for us here. It's actually sitting on a rolling touring style road case in this application because the space we were given for it wasn't really a permanent location in this backstage area. So we had to keep it mobile, and the easy solution in this project was to put it on a rolling case and let it be. But the DM7 gives us plenty of capacity for the number of mixes that they needed here. It's a familiar enough interface for the guys coming from the CLs, and it still integrates seamlessly on the Dante network with all the other Yamaha gear they have.
Yeah. Multi-viewer up here as well. So we had, I can't remember exactly how many licenses that we had for the Ultrix multi-viewers, but we use those a lot again for monitor position, for lighting, for front of house, all of the multi-viewers inside of the control room, broadcast audio as well. A lot of custom functionality that you want to have inside of those spaces.
Right, and this monitor again is an output from the video router. Mm-hmm. So we can send them this multi-viewer, we could send them just a single camera shot if we needed to. We can send them whatever this operator needs, right? But given the position in this stage design, we don't have a sight line to the stage. So this operator is truly dependent on that video monitor just to have visual contact with the people on stage.
Yeah. Well, we've talked
that
a
wraps
lot.
it up, really.
Yeah, we talked for a long time. And so obviously there's a lot inside of a project like this. It can be a little overwhelming. So maybe you're in a spot where you're going through your first build, or you've done a build before and you've done an upgrade and things did not go the way you hoped, or you're just overwhelmed. Well, we're not overwhelmed by this stuff.
Right.
We do this stuff on a daily basis. This is what we do all the time. And I can't stress enough, like, gear is one thing. The construction process is what people don't realize is what really makes or breaks, especially out of ground projects, right? It's one thing to go into an existing building and to upfit technology, and we do that very well. But what I take a lot of pride in for us at SES is our ability to work with all of the other trades to bring together a great end product for the client. And this is no exception to that. So if you are in a position where you are in that role, like you're looking, you guys are about to build a building, or you're wanting to upfit an existing space, we want to help you with that. We want to help you navigate all of the crazy decisions. We want to make sure that the electrical engineer provides you the power that needs to be provided. We want to make sure that the structural engineer can account for all the weight that you're going to hang from it. We want to make sure that the mechanical engineer is going to give you the amount of AC that's needed to properly maintain the gear that you have. So those are all things that we do day in, day out. We'll be inside of the construction meetings. We'll be an advocate for you. So if you want to help, or if you want us to help you with that, we'd love to do that. You can go to our website, www.sesintegration.com. There's a link that you could go to inside of that you could sign up a form or fill out a form to work with us. Again, we'd reach out to you. We'd love to talk to you about your upcoming project. So until then, thank you for watching. Thanks for nerding out with us. If you're still here, good God, you are one of the nerds like us.
So yeah, we appreciate your time.
Yes.
and giving us the ability to share with you the most recent project we just completed.
Yeah. So until then, until next time, thank you very much. See you later.